Okay, so we will start the session now. So this is I hope I'm audible. Can anyone confirm in the chat that I'm audible? Am I audible? Yeah, fine. So this is the NPTEL live interactive session for the second week of for the course Urban Transportation Systems Planning. So for the people who are attending this for the first time, so this session will be done on Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. every week. So for the first week, there was some change in the schedule. So it was done on the Tuesday of this week. From this week onwards, it will be on Saturday unless some unavoidable circumstance comes in. So I am Abhishek Raj, a PMRF scholar in the Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Madras. So I will be taking this session on every Saturday, 4 to 6, and there will be another session which will be on Monday by another scholar. So first we'll go over the outline of this presentation. So we'll start with an overview for the second week. What were the topics that were discussed? Then we'll discuss the questions from the practice assignment. And finally, we can take on some doubts if time permits. So starting with the overview of this week. So this week was organized into 5 lectures. So the first lecture was about the travel demand forecasting and what are the 4 steps involved in it. So can someone tell me the 4 steps in the chat? Okay. Can someone type the 4 steps which we need to do for travel demand forecasting in the chat box? Okay, fine. So yeah, for doing travel demand forecasting, so what will be the travel demand in a future point of time? So we need to do 4 steps. So I'll write them here. So first is this trip generation. So based on the type of land use, we try to predict what will be the trip generated from that area. So basically land use is given as input, that is the urban activity. The second step we do is the trip distribution. So we try to distribute the trips between different zones of the city. How much travel is taking place from one zone to another, also within the zone. Then we try to do mode choice. So what mode are people using to travel? And finally, it will be route or trip assignment is done, where we decide that what route will people take. So these are the 4 steps that are done for travel demand forecasting. So second lecture was about what is the algorithm that is adopted for travel demand forecasting. So I have abbreviated it here. So please note, make a note that this is this. So what is the procedure followed on an overall basis by transport planners? So I won't go into the details of that since it will take time. Then we discussed the different steps in the modeling process. So first was specification, then we do calibration, validation, and finally forecasting is done. Then finally, so next we have lecture 3. So that is about the planning of the study area. So how we try to organize the study area into different zones, how the cordon line is drawn for the purpose of travel demand forecasting. Then what are the types of information that are required and how is it collected. Next was the fourth lecture. So that was about travel information. So what kind of information is collected using the surveys? So basically, we try to collect what was the purpose of the trip, where did the trip produce, where did it get attracted to. So a key pointer. So I'll just repeat it, although Sir has given enough emphasis on it. So whenever a trip is one of the ends of the trip is home. So any one end is home. So we will always say that The trip is getting produced at home and it will be attracted to the other end. It may be office, market, anything. So whenever one end is home, so production will be always at home and attraction will be at other end. But in case the trip is taking place between two other ends, such as X1, X2, it may be office or let's say market. So in that case, wherever it is getting originated or start, there is will be the production, and wherever it is going, that will be the attraction. So just for home-based trips, we need to take care that the production will always be at home and attraction will be at the other end. Even if the order of the trip is in a reverse manner. If we are going from office to home, in that case also production is at home and attraction is at office. Please be clear of that. So we will need this in the questions that we discussed today. So lecture 5 is about the data collection, how it is done for OD studies. So this was about the surveying process. So how it is done, what should be the sample size, what are the things that we need to take care of for origin destination studies, and finally what are the different techniques that are used for surveying. So this was a broad overview of the second week. So if you want more details on this, you are encouraged to watch the lectures. So next we'll start with the practice assignment. So we'll discuss around 18 to 20 questions every week. At least that will be the attempt if time permits. So next, so around 9 to 10 questions we will do as polls that you will have to answer, and then I will discuss the solution. And 9 to 10 questions I will solve directly. So this will be the format that we will follow. So I hope I'm clear till now. If you have any doubts, you can ask, else we will move with the practice assignment. So shall we go ahead? Any response will be appreciated. Nice. So yeah, let me just check once. Okay. So we'll start with the first question. So in case of data collection, which of the following statements are correct? So the choice of survey method depends on the objectives of the survey. Within a fixed budget, specification of the quantity of data to be collected will immediately dictate the quality of data. As the duration of the survey increases, the response rate generally decreases, and none of the above. So you need to select which of the following statements are correct. Since we are starting with this question, can I have some response? Which are the options which are correct here? Just a quick response. Okay, okay, we have two responses. Yeah, this session will be recorded. It will be recorded, and the material will also be shared on the course portal. Okay, so we have some responses for A, C. Fine, we'll discuss the answer. So here we are talking about which of the following statements are correct. So in case of data collection. So first is the choice of survey method depends on the objectives of the survey. So yeah, this is correct. If we want to have, let's say, more details about the people, how they are traveling, their age, gender, we cannot go for, let's say, vehicle intercept technique, because that will only record the type of vehicle, where it was first seen, where it was last seen, and those kind of parameters. So in that case, we cannot go for a vehicle intercept technique or a license plate recorder. Instead, we want to go for a more detailed survey, then we should go for home interview techniques, or some other techniques are also there. So how we want to, like, what we want to do from the service data, what are the objectives, that basically decides what method we should choose. we want more details, we have to choose a method accordingly. So A is correct. I think some people answered A. Then next is within a fixed budget, specifications of the quantity of data to be collected will immediately dictate the quality of the data. So let's say we want to collect data from 100 households, and let's say we want to collect data from 1000 households, 10,000 households. So immediately, let's say this is case 1 and this is case 2. So in case 1, since the quantity of data is less, quality also may be better, because we have less room for making error. We have just 100 households, so we can finish the survey quickly and whatever we want to get, we can get. But when 10,000 households come in the picture, so we may not get the accurate data that we need, because we are surveying a large number of people. So the percentage of error, or we can say missing data and other parameters, so that may be higher when the quantity of the survey increases. So sometimes what happens is, as we increase the number of respondents, number of households that we want to survey, it kind of has an effect on the quality of data. So quantity and quality are kind of related. So more is the data, there will be more chances of having error in the data if done correctly, or even incorrectly if we do. So error will be more, but even if we do correctly, sometimes error happens in surveys. It's quite common. So B is also correct. Next, as the duration of the survey during face-to-face interview, or we can also say home interview, increases, the response rate generally decreases. So yeah, this is obvious. So a general principle, or a thumb rule is to, like, before starting the home interview survey, you have to tell the respondent that this will take 15 minutes or 30 minutes, or how much ever time that you think it will take. You have to tell them. So if you say that the survey will take 1 hour, like, the response rate, the quality may not be like some of them may not even agree to give the survey, because it takes 1 hour. 1 hour is like a big time. No one wants to give 1 hour of their time for a survey. Like, some people may give if they understand, but many people may not afford to give 1 hour. So response rate may decrease. Even the quality of the answers they'll give will reduce, because they will want to finish the survey quicker. If we say like the survey may take only 15 minutes, some people may be like more prone to giving good answers, accurate answers that we need. So as the duration will increase, the response rate will generally reduce. So response rate is like how, like, let's say we went to 100 households for a survey. So how many of them agree to give the survey? So if 80 households agree, so it will be a 80% response rate. So C is also correct here. So we'll discuss the answer again now. So I have just a separate slide for just the answers. So option A, B, and C are correct. So choice of survey method will depend on the objectives of the survey. If we have a fixed budget, so within that, specification of the quantity of data to be collected will immediately dictate the quality of data. And as the duration will increase, response rate generally decreases. Human behavior. So I hope I was clear. Can I have some response if this was clear? And we can go ahead. Okay, fine. So next question is a poll. So this question I will post a poll in the Gmeet and you can answer it there. You can also answer it in the chat box as well. That is also fine. So here we are talking about the four-stage transport planning process. So there will be two columns given to you, column X and Y. So this is the first column. This is the second column. So you have been given four rows and you need to select the match the correct options. So we have trip assignment, trip generation, trip distribution, and mode split. On the other hand, we have translates urban activities into number of trips, travel flow between a pair of zones, trip maker's choice, and prediction of the path of trips. So you can answer it in the chat. I will also drop a poll. So it is more preferred to answer it in the poll. So this is question 2. We have four options here. So left table is the question and the right table has the answer. So you need to select the correct choice. I have launched the poll. You can answer it there. Okay, we have two responses in the chat. Since we have five people here, I'll wait for maybe another 2 minutes. Someone else wants to respond, then we will discuss the answer. You just need to match column X with Y. It's preferred that everyone answers in the poll. That way, like we'll have a record of how many people are correctly answering questions. Any other responses? Wait for 1 more minute, then we'll discuss the answer. Whoever has not answered are encouraged to answer this. Even if it is wrong, it's fine. We'll discuss the solution. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, so we have a 60% response rate. Fine. Discuss the answer. So yeah, we have the four stages or steps of the travel demand forecasting process or transport planning. So first is trip assignment. So trip assignment is, so let's kind of do this in the order that we have studied now. So first to start with trip generation. So trip generation is about we will have a category of land use. So it can be commercial, it can be residential, it can be industrial. So depending upon the type of land use, the population which is there, we may have a certain urban activity, level of urban activity. So what we try to do is based on the population and type of land use, we try to predict the number of trips that may happen from this zone. So 2 will go with A. So we can write them here. So 2 will go with A. So translates urban activities into the number of trips. So then we have second, we do trip distribution. So trip distribution is after we know the number of trips, we need to find how many will go from zone 1 to zone 2, how many will go from zone 2 to zone 1, zone 1 to zone 3, zone 3 to zone 2. We'll need to find the interchange of trips. So trip distribution will be travel flow between each pair of zones. So 3 will go with B. Then we have mode split. So mode split is basically about choosing the mode of transport. If we want to decide that we want to go from our home to office, there may be a number of modes that may available: private vehicle, public transport, metro, IPT, auto, anything. So we may need to choose the mode. So that will be trip maker's choice of mode. 3, 4 will go with C. Finally, we are left with only one, so that will obviously go with whatever is left. So trip assignment is about we need to assign the like which path or the which route the users will take. So one will go with D. So D, A, B, and C. So whichever we have this. So D, A, B, and C. So option A is correct. So I think two people answered option A. So yeah, that was correct answer. Moving on to the solution for this. So option A was correct. So trip generation is about translation of the urban activities into the number of trips. Trip distribution, travel flow between each pair of zones. Mode split, choice of mode, and trip assignment is the path of trips. So is this clear? Fine. We'll go ahead. So moving on to question number 3. So a four-zone study area trip table is presented below. Based on the data, uh, so this will be like a comprehension based question. So we will have the data and we'll use it in question 3 as well as question 4. So the data will be displayed both the times, so you don't need to worry about that. So I'll show the data now. So you need to find the total number of trip productions for zone 3. So here is the table. So we on the left side we have the production zones. On the top side that are the columns we have the attraction zones. So we need to find the number of trip productions for zone 3. So I just want you to calculate and respond. Like I'll give a minute for this and we'll discuss the answer. So we need to find how many trips will zone 3 produce based on the data that is given. Okay, we have one response. Anyone else? Okay, anyone else wants to respond for this? Okay, fine. No issues. We'll discuss the answer. So yeah, we have a response. I think I'll just check it. Okay, fine. So we need to find the total number of trip productions for zone 3. So let's, although there we can do this directly, so I'll just do it simply so that everyone can understand. So we need to find the dip productions for zone 3. So where we have been given productions, production is given on the left hand side. We need to find for zone 3. So this is our interest. So production happening in zone 3 and let's change it. So production is happening in zone 3 and let's say attraction is happening in zone 1. So how many are the number of trips? So production in 3, attraction in 1. So this will be this cell. So that is 60. Next is production is happening in 3 and attraction will happen in 2. So production in 3, attraction in 2. So we'll match the row and the corresponding column. So this will be here 75. Next is production in 3 and attraction is 3. So this is like within the zone itself, travel is happening. So 3, 3 will match, it will be 50. Finally, production in 3 and attraction is happening in zone 4. So that is third row and the fourth column. So intersection is 120. So if we add all of these, so we'll get the like the total number of productions in zone 3. So this will be 170, 230 and 305 reps. So a simple way to do this is when we want to find the productions for a zone, we'll simply take that zone, zone 3, and we will add all the elements of in that row. So I'll just write it here. So summation of the row elements for, let's say, the ith row will give the production for the ith zone. So here, since we have four rows and four zones, so if you want to find the production for the third zone, so the third row elements, we'll just add them together and that will give us the production. So is this clear? Okay, fine. We'll go ahead and discuss the solution once again. So answer is 305. So the sum of row elements of a particular zone of the trip table is equivalent to the zonal trip productions. So we'll just add, we'll pick the zone for which we want to calculate the productions and we'll just add all the row elements. So here it was 60, 75, 50 and 120. We'll get a total of 305 trips. So next question is a poll. So same data we will use, but we'll try to calculate a different parameter. So the total number of trip attractions we need to find this time. Last time we found the productions for third zone, and now we'll find the attractions for zone 2. So the same data I'm giving it here. So you can answer it in the chat since this is like a direct numerical type answer. There are no options here. Okay. Okay. Anyone else wants to respond? I'll give maybe 2 minutes for this because I want to check if people understood the last question. You have to use a similar concept but in a different way. Last time we did it for production, so took the sum of the row elements. So this time we have to do for attraction, so think accordingly. Okay, I think you mistyped it or maybe calculated it a little bit wrong. It's fine. Okay, anyone else? We have three responses, five people. Give maybe 1 more minute, then we can discuss the answer for this. Anyone else wants to respond for question 4? See, the thing is, this is an interactive session, so please try to interact. That way, it is beneficial for both of us. You will learn better, and I will teach better. I know like what problems you have. If you don't respond, I don't know. Okay, since no one else is responding, we'll discuss the answer for this. So same concept as last question, but we'll apply it in a different way. So here we are focused on the attractions for the second zone. So where is the second zone? It is here. We need to find the attractions. So what can happen is zone can get produced in the trips can get produced in zone 1 and will be attracted to 2. It can be produced in 2 and attracted to 2, can be produced in 3, again attracted to 2, and can be produced in 4 and again attracted to 2. So try to find this. So production in 1 and attraction in 2, so that will be 50. 2, 2, so we'll match them. So that is 20 here. So then production in 3, attraction in 2, so that will be 75. And then finally we have production in 4 and attraction in 2, so that will be 70. So let's all add all them. So this will be 210 and 5, so it will be 215 trips. So what we did basically was, so we took zone 2 and whatever were the elements in its column, so we added all of them together. So summation of column elements for the ith column will give the attractions in zone I totally. So we'll basically add for production. We want the productions for one zone. We'll take all the elements in that row. I'll just write it again. So for production, we take summation of row. For attraction, we take the summation of the particular column. So please remember this. This may be relevant for other questions as well that we'll do for your assignments or even exams. So was this clear? So was this clear? Fine. So yeah, we'll go ahead with the solution for this. So answer was 215. So the sum of the column elements for a particular zone of the trip table is corresponding to the zonal trip attractions. So for here we had 50, 20, 75 and 70 for zone 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it will be total 215 trips that will be attracted to second zone, zone 2. So moving on to question number 5. So which of the following are characteristics of home interview technique? It maintains respondents' interest. It is not laborious. There is a flexibility in the type of information collected, and interviewer bias may affect each participant. So can I have some response for this? I'll give a hint. So more than one option is correct here. Okay. So yeah, we'll discuss the answer now since we have some responses. So home interview technique, basically we'll have a team of surveyors. We'll allot them to zones. They will go, they will survey there. So we try to be as representative as the of the population as possible. So like based on the, like let's say one zone is less populated, so we won't survey much there. So in ratio of the population, generally we try to survey unless the objective of the survey is different. So it takes quite some effort because we need to have a big team. We need to have survey, like it takes multiple days. We need to pay the surveyors well. Many times what has happened, like we even see here in our labs, that like the quality of the data that is obtained was not good because the surveyors were not paid very well. So what they do is they do a poor job of surveying. They don't ask the participants the way the questions should be asked. So it is not laborious. This option is not correct. It is quite laborious. It takes time, and then after that we have to compile the data. Then we have it maintains the respondent's interest. So yeah, A is correct because generally we are doing it at their home, so they will be comfortable and like more prone to asking answering the questions in the right way. So it maintains the respondent's interest. There is a flexibility in the type of information collected. So yeah, this is also true because since we are going to their home, we can collect the type of information that we want. But in the other case, like if we are doing a survey at a office place or a commercial place, people may be busy, like they may be going somewhere, they may have time constraints. So we can only collect so much information. They will not stand there to talk to us for half an hour. It's not feasible and practical. So, but at home they may be available for some time. So we can collect more information, and there will be a flexibility. Also, as we discussed this also, interviewer bias. So it may affect each participant. So depending upon how the interviewer is, like how he's asking the questions, how is his behavior, it kind of will affect the participant also. So if the interviewer behaves nicely, so they may respond well and to all the questions properly, but may not be true for the other case. So A, C, and D are correct. B is not correct. So moving on. So A, C, and D. So home interview technique we are talking about here. So it maintains the respondent's interest since we are doing it at their home. Interviewer bias may affect each participant and there will be a flexibility. So all these three options were correct. Moving on to the next question. So this is a poll, question 6. So we have the data given about how a person, what is the itinerary of a person in the whole day. So he travels from his home to office in the morning. In afternoon, the person traveled from the office to a restaurant for lunch and then back from the restaurant to the office after lunch, and then evening he returns from his office to from his home to sorry from his office to his home. So therefore, which of the following statements are true? So there will be four statements. So total number of trips made by the person is four. Total number of home-based trips made by the person is two. The number of trip ends produced at his home is one, and the number of trips attracted to his office is two. So just quickly drop the poll, you can answer it. Okay, so this is question 6. So I've launched the poll, you can answer it there. You can also answer it in the chat. Okay, we have one response. Okay, so if you can see on the bottom right of your screen, so there is a icon which is like a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you click on that, there will be polls in that. You can go there and respond. So I have entered the choices there to be more easy to identify. I'll give maybe 2 minutes for this. And yeah, so please, if you can see in the bottom right of your screen, so there will be the icon like a triangle, square, and a circle icon, which is called as activities. If you click on that, you can go in polls, and in that there will be the respective question. You can respond there. Anyone else wants to respond to this question? So right now we have two responses in the chat box. Anyone else who wants to respond to this question? Give maybe 1 more minute, then we'll discuss the answer. Okay, so we have two responses in the question in the poll. Fine. Okay, fine. We'll discuss the answer for this now. I will end the poll. So let's draw the, like, let's do it with a figure. So let's say we have the home of the person, we have the office, we have the, let's say, the restaurant somewhere here. So in the morning, the person will go from the home to office. Afternoon, he will go from office to the restaurant for the lunch. Again, he will come back to work after having the lunch, and finally, he'll go back to his home in the evening. So we need to see, like, what are which of the following statements are true. So total number of trips made by the person is 4. So home to office, office to restaurant, restaurant to office, and finally office to home. So yeah, 4 trips are there totally. So this is correct. Option A. Total number of home-based trips made by the person is 2. So yeah, this is also correct because 2 trips are happening between home to office. So he's going from home to office in morning and returning back to evening. So whenever one end of the trip is at home, that is a home-based trip. So please be clear with it. So whenever one end of the trip, either you can go leave from home or you can come back to home. Whenever one end of the trip is at home, it will be a home-based trip. And whenever either ends, both the ends of the trip, they are not at home, it will be a non-home based trip. So the number of home based trips made by the person is 2. So that will be home to office and also back from office to home. So B is correct. Total number of trip ends produced at his home is 1. So yeah, this is not correct because as I discussed in the overview slide, so whenever one end of the trip is home, so the production will always be at home, no matter which is the what is the order of the trip. If one end is home, the production will be at home and attraction will be at whatever is the other end. It can be office, market, restaurant, whatever. So whenever one end is home, the production will happen at home. So for two of the trips that we can see here, home to office and office to evening, one end is home. So for both those trips, the production will happen at home. So it's not just one trip, it will be 2 trips. So C is incorrect. Total number of trip ends attracted to the office is 2. So when we are going from home to office, so it's one attraction. Again, when we are returning from office to home in evening, again it is one attraction at the office. And finally, when we are going from restaurant back to office after lunch, that is also one attraction. So totally there are office is having 3 attractions. So here it is written trip attendance attracted to office is 2. So this is also not correct. So we can remove D. So the number of the options which are correct are A and B. So is this clear to everyone? Okay. Anyone else? Is it clear? Fine. Okay, we'll go ahead. See the answer for this. So option A and B are correct. So we can discuss some of the details here. So home to office when we are going, that is a home-based trip. So production at home, attraction at office. Whenever it is a home-based trip, one end is at home, production will be at home and attraction will be at the other end. Please be clear with it. Office to restaurant. So it is a non-home based trip since both of the ends, office and restaurant, are not home. So here production is simply happening wherever the trip is starting at the office, and attraction will happen at the other end, restaurant. Restaurant to office, simple. Non-home based trip, either end is not home. Production will happen at restaurant, attraction will happen at office. And finally we have office to home. Again it is a home based trip because one of the ends is home. Production will be at home. Simple, because always trips are produced at home when home is one of the ends. And attraction will be happening at the office. So clear? Just a quick response from someone. Is it clear? You can move ahead. Yeah, thank you. So moving on to question number 7. So it's simple, like the previous question. I think it was question 2. So this is also a match the following. So what we discussed in the last question will come to your use here. So that's why I put them one after the other so that you can relate. So column X and column Y we have. So first column we have home-based work trips, internal external trips, through trips, and non-home based trips. So second column we have trips that have neither end in the study area but pass through it. Trips with one end inside the study area and one outside. Trip have neither end at home. Trip between a person's home and place of employment. So the options have been given here. So can I have some response for this? I'll give maybe 1 minute for this. What we discussed in question 6, you can use it here. It will help you in solving. Any response for this? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, no issues. Okay. So one more we have B. So we'll discuss the answer. So as we discussed in the last question, so home-based work trip. So one end will be at home, one end will be at work, that is office. So trip between a person's home and place of employment. So one will go with D. Next we have internal external trips. So like the answer is in the name itself. So it will start internally, like within the study area it will start, and but it will not end in the study area. So trips with one end inside the study area and another end outside the study area. So two will go with B. Finally, we have 3. So through trips means like we have the zone. The trip will simply pass through the zone. It will neither start in the zone nor it will end in the zone. So trips that have neither end in the study area but pass through it. So that will be through trip. So 3 will go with A. So we are only left with C. So I think non-home based trips. So trips that basically none of the ends will be at home. So neither end at home. So 4 will go with C. So we have D, B, A, and C. So D, B, A, and C. So option D is correct. I think, okay, so 2 people had responded for D. Right. So moving on to the solution for this. So option D is correct. So again, we'll discuss this. So since it is a very basic thing and we will need it in next modules also. So home-based work trip. So trip between a person's home and place of employment for work purpose. Non-home-based trip, which will have neither end at home regardless of the purpose. Trips with one end inside the study area and one outside are internal external. And trips with neither end in the study area that will pass through it are called through trips. Am I audible to everyone? Can people confirm if I'm audible? I think one student has some issue. Okay. I think maybe it is a issue on your end, ZC. So maybe you can log out and log back in. Maybe it will resolve the issue. Just wait for a minute. Maybe he'll try to log back in. So, am I audible now? Okay. Yeah. Pratyusha, could you please confirm if I'm audible?
Yeah, it is audible.
Okay. Maybe it is an issue on your side. See, you can try to resolve it since I'm audible to the other students. Please check your internet connection once. Sometimes if it is weak, you lose the audio. So moving on to question 8. So this is a poll. So which of the following statements are true? The correct order to analyze inventory data and establish relationships is specification, validation, calibration, and forecasting. Calibration process attempts to duplicate travel for the forecast or horizon year. Validation can continue in future years by comparing measured volumes with model estimates. And if series of models produce traffic volume similar to what is observed on the roadway and bus lines, the models can be applied in the forecast year. Can I have some response for this? Question 8. Okay, we have one response. I'll wait for one more minute. Anyone else wants to respond? Okay. A, B, and D. Fine. Okay. So we have 66% response rate. We'll move ahead. Okay. So we are talking about which of the following statements are true. So first, when we are trying to analyze this survey data and trying it into model it, so what we do is first we'll do specification. So we'll try to specify the mathematical formulation. It can be a linear model, parabolic model. So the type of mathematical formula that you want to formulate the model on, that is the specification. Then we calibrate the model using the data that we have. Finally, after calibration, we will validate it if it is performing on a data set other than the calibrated data set. So we try to split the data into like 70, 30, 80, 20 or some other ratio. The bigger portion we will use to calibrate the model and the smaller portion we'll check use to validate. And finally, we try to forecast for the horizon year. So that is the order in which we try to analyze the data. So specification, validation, calibration, and forecasting. So no, this is not correct. First calibration will come and then we will have validation. So you can remove here. Calibration process attempts to duplicate travel for the forecast on horizon year. So the keyword is here. So this is incorrect. It is done it for the base year rather than the horizon year. So we try to check how is the model performing on the data that it has been given. So we try to duplicate the travel. So we can remove B. Validation can continue in the future years by comparing measured traffic volumes with the model estimate. So yeah, this is correct. So we'll try to pass in the data and we'll see that how much volume the model is generating versus how much what is the measured traffic volume. So let's say we develop a model now and after 1 year we see that the traffic volume is 10,000 and we find that the model estimated 1 year back around 9,800. So we have a reasonably good model. It is performing well with us like a 2% accuracy rate. So a decent model, so we can use it. So that is how what validation we do. So we try to see how is the model performing for the data that it has not been passed yet. And if the series of models provide data similar to what is observed on the roadways and bus line, model can be applied. So yeah, this is obvious. So basically what we are seeing is that once we validate the model performance is good. It is trying to produce traffic volumes which are similar. So we can apply the model. It's fine. C and D are correct. So moving on. So option C and D. Validation can continue in the future years by comparing measured traffic volumes with model estimates. If the series of models produce traffic volumes, if the validation performance is good for the model, we can apply it. So C and D both are correct. So we'll move on to the next question, which is question number 9. So this is a simple true, false, or accept, reject type of question. So we have the statement: the variation in accessibility can be captured via network geometry and level of service. So accept or reject. So can I quickly have some response for this? Any response for question 9? Okay, fine. We'll discuss the answer. So we are talking about accessibility here. So what is accessibility? Is it is the ease with which we can reach from one location in the city to another location. Basically, how accessible is location 2 with respect to location 1. So that is accessibility. So it is captured both via network geometry and level of service. So I will explain what does it mean. So network geometry means, let's say we have a road between L1 to L2. So the geometry, like practically, we can go from L1 to L2. But then we want to see like how well we are connected. What is the quality? Like if it is a very congested road, it's not going to be of much use, even if the accessibility will be low because we cannot travel it fast. But if we have like multiple roads within two locations in the city, so it is accessible because network geometry is saying that okay, there are three roads, and since there are three roads, congestion will also be in certain limit only. So level of service will be decent. So if you want to capture accessibility, it will be a function of both the network geometry and the level of service. So we can accept this statement. It is true. So option A, accept, is the correct answer. Moving on to question 10. So specification involves the level of analysis at which the models must be formulated. You can respond in the chat. I'll just quickly drop a poll also. So this is question 10. Okay, so I have launched the poll. You can respond there. You can also respond in the chat also. That also. Okay. So we have one person responding. Okay. Okay, fine. You have enough responses now. I'll end the poll. Discuss the answer for this one. So we are talking about the first stage of modeling, that is specification. So here what we do is we try to ascertain the details of the model. So what details? So what will be the level of analysis? What will be the model form? And other details we try to figure out about the model. So we basically try to specify the details. So that is specification stage. So it involves level of analysis at which models must be formulated. So if you want to formulate a model which should work on the zonal level, so we should use the zonal data rather than using the household data, which is at a microscopic level. So based on the data that we have and the objectives of the survey, we'll try to define the zones or we'll try to divide the data into different subsets. And based on that, we'll try to analyze, okay, this is the level of analysis that we need to do for these models. So it is correct. Option A, accept. So option A, accept, is the correct answer. So level of analysis for the models must be specified. So a decision whether to model individual travel behavior or that of a larger group, such as a zone. So at what level we want to formulate the model is decided in the stage of specification. So moving on to the next question, question 11. So same question, accept or reject. So continuous reappraisal of the travel forecasting models assures accurate forecasts as far as possible. Can we have some response for this? Okay, fine. Everyone has responded. Nice. Okay. So we are talking about continuous reappraisal of the travel forecasting models assures accurate forecasts as far as possible. So what we are trying to do is once we develop the forecasting model, we try to keep predicting the level of traffic or the variable that we want to predict in the future as well. So it basically ensures that if we keep predicting it every year, so we'll ensure that the forecasts will be accurate because we are doing it again and again rather than doing it 1 year and then waiting. So that will ensure that the models are better and the forecasts will be accurate as far as possible. So I think everyone responded correctly for this. So option A is correct. So if they are not able to predict the accurate forecasts, those models may not be so good. So option A, accept, is the correct answer. Moving on to the next question, question 12. So this is a poll. So the boundary of the planning area is known as the. Quickly, you can respond for this. Can respond for question 12. Okay, okay, fine. We have all three responses. I think one person responded correctly. We'll discuss the answer. So when we are trying to do travel demand forecasting, so we'll decide, okay, this is our planning area. So we'll designate some zones, a set of zones. So we'll try to demarcate the boundary. So let's say we have zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and we have finally zone 4. So how these areas will be bound together, that is known as the boundary or the cordon line. So that is the boundary. So we try to ensure that, okay, this cordon line intersects with the least number of roads, because that kind of interferes with the modeling process. So all the minimum number of intersections should happen with the roads, and basically we try to take some kind of a natural boundary, for natural or even artificial boundary for the cordon line. So let's say there is a railway track on this end of the town, so we can simply take it as the cordon line, because there won't be many roads which will cross the cordon line here, since there is a railway track. Let's say there is a river on this end, so we may use this river as the cordon line. So we try to take boundaries which already exist as the cordon line. That kind of improves the model. So cordon line is the correct answer. Moving on to question 13. So which of the following survey method comes under the vehicle intercept survey technique? Cordon line survey, license plate follow-up survey, tag on vehicle survey, and both A and C, and none of the above. So can we have some response for this? It should be easy. Any responses for question 13? Okay, fine. Anyone else wants to respond? Fine. We'll see the answer for this. So vehicle intercept is about, like, instead of trying to ask the person where he went and like where he's coming, we try to intercept the vehicles itself. So we'll see that, okay, this vehicle. So first one is the license plate follow-up survey. So what we will do is, let's say we have a zone 1. So there, let's say we have a road. So we will have a CCTV camera. So that will be pointed on the road. Just draw a rough figure quickly to explain it. So whatever will be the number on the car, that will CCTV will read it, license plate that will it read, and then let's say another zone, we have another CCTV camera that is pointed towards the road, and there we can, what we can do is we can match that, okay, whether this vehicle came here. So we can see that, okay, this vehicle traveled from zone 1 to zone 2, and vice versa also we can do. So this kind of matching we can do with license plates, and kind of trying to do a survey, okay, where people are traveling. So even a small level of data can give us idea, okay, everyone is traveling from zone 1 to, let's say, zone 5 in the city. Zone 5 may be a business center where people are working or offices are there. So this is kind of how we do it in license plate follow-ups. So B is correct. Then we have tag on vehicle service. So this is also done sometimes. So what we'll do is simply we'll stop the vehicle, or sometimes without stopping also it is done. Digital tagging it is called. So we'll simply put a tag on the vehicle of a certain color. that color coding will be done based on the zone numbering or the name of the zone. So for zone 1, let's say we give it a red color tag on the vehicle. So when we spot a vehicle with a red tag in zone 2, we know that it is coming from zone 1. Similarly, we can do for all set of zones. We can give them different colors and we can see from where to where they are traveling. So it is called tag on the vehicle survey. So C is also correct. So since B and C both are correct, so I think yeah, both of these will come under the vehicle intercept survey technique. So I think here it is incorrect. So I think it should be B here rather than A. So I think it is a typo. So these are the correct answer because it encompasses both B and C. So we can correct it here. So it will be both B and C. So option D is correct, both B and C. Moving on to question 14. In case of data collection techniques, which of the following statements is correct? So the choice of survey method does not depend on the resources available for the survey. The quality of data is affected by the survey length. As the length of the survey increases, the respondent rate will generally increase, and the sample data collected should be representative of the population. So I'll just drop a poll. You can answer it in the chat also. I have dropped the poll. You can answer it there. Give maybe 2 minutes for this. You can answer it and then we move on. Okay. Any other responses? Okay. So we have two responses. Anyone in the polls? Okay. So I will end the poll now. We'll discuss the answer for this. Okay. So in case of data collection techniques, which of the following statements is correct? The choice of survey method depends on the resources available and the objectives of the survey. So it depends on both resources as well as objectives. So here we are saying it does not depend. So this is not correct. We can remove it because how we want to, what we want from the survey and how much resources we have, people, money. time. So based on that, we'll decide what survey method we want to adopt. If we don't have much time, home interview technique cannot be used. We need to go for an online survey, some Google form technique or something like that. So the quality of data is affected by surveillance. So yeah, this is also not correct. So I don't know if you people have went through the lectures, but there was a flow chart. So where we discuss quality as well as quantity. So survey length affects the quantity of the data. On the other hand, quality is affected by the method that we are using plus the quality control technique. So these things will affect the quality and survey length affects the quantity. So survey length is not related very much to the quality of the data. So this also we can remove. So as the length of survey increases, the response rate will generally increase. So we discussed this. So as more time is needed for the survey, the person who is responding, the respondent may not respond how we want him to, because he may get hasty and he may give some incorrect answer. So that kind of response rate generally reduces when the length of the survey will increase. So this also we can remove. So the sample data collected should be representative of the population. So yeah, this is correct. So whenever we are doing sampling, so we try to be representative of the population. So if the population has three components, C1, C2, and C3 in some ratio, our sample should also be in the same ratio as the population. So that ensures more validity for the developed model. So the sample data collected should be representative of the population. So option D is correct. Only option D is correct. Other options were incorrect. So question 15. So is simply a matrix showing how many trips are interchanged between the various zones in the study area. So can we have some response for this? It is a fill in the blank type question. Okay, one response. Give 1 more minute for this. Someone responds, otherwise we'll discuss that. Okay. Any other response? I think we have three people here. Okay, it's fine. We'll discuss the answer. I think few people answered it, but it was not correct. Like kind of you were correct, but not exactly. So you're correct about the concept. So it is trip distribution. So here we want to figure out how many trip interchanges are happening between various zones in the study area. So what we draw here is called a trip table. Some other studies will call it origin destination matrix also. So simply it is called as trip table. OD matrix is like a more technical term. So as we saw in question 3 and question 4, so we had the production on this side and we had the attraction on the columns. So then we have certain values in each cell. So this is called as a trip table. So we know the interchanges of trips that are happening between each of the zones and within the zones. So a trip table is a matrix which shows how many trips are interchanged between the various zones in the study area. So the answer is trip table. Moving on to the next question, question 16. So this is a poll. So which of the following statements are correct with respect to the four-stage planning process? So characteristics of the trip maker, trip and transportation systems influence the mode choice decision. As traffic assignment predicts network routes that all trips will take. Trip distribution depends on the relative attractiveness and accessibility, and urban activity forecasts provide primary input to the trip generation. So I'll drop the poll and answer it. So this is question 16. So I have launched the poll. You can answer it there and also in the chat. It's fine. Okay. I'll give a hint. More than one option is correct here. Okay. Let's check if someone has responded in the poll. So you are requested to please check the poll because I have put the options there. It will be more easy to find the correct answer. Give one more minute because I think no one has responded correctly. Okay. Please read the options properly and then try to answer it. Should be easy because we discussed this, I think, 2 times by now. Otherwise, no issues. We will discuss the answer. I will give 1 more minute. We can discuss the answer then. You can respond in the poll as well as the chat. Any other responses? Okay, I will end the poll now. Discuss the answer for this. So here we are talking about all the 4 stages of the planning process. So first thing is the mode choice. So it depends on the trip maker, what kind of trip he's taking, and what is the transportation systems that are available within the city. This is because if we are taking a recreational trip where there is not much of a time constraint, even if we reach like 10 minutes, 15 minutes late, so we may go for public transport because that is there will be a level of unreliability there in the arrival of the buses. Sometimes the bus may arrive early, sometimes it may arrive late, so it may take time. So for those kind of trips, and what is the transportation system that is available, that will affect what is the mode choice that we are choosing. But whereas where there is like a high risk scenario, let's say a parent is dropping his kid for an exam, so in that case what may happen is he may not prefer to use the public transport because it may take time and he may get late. So in that case people may prefer using a private vehicle. So what mode people choose will depend on the trip maker, trip, and the transportation system, all these 3 aspects. So A is correct. Traffic assignment predicts network routes that all the trips will take. So yeah, we discussed this. So traffic assignment or route assignment or route choice, all these 3 are same things. So we try to predict each trip what route it will take. So B is correct. So trip distribution depends on the relative attractiveness and accessibility of the zone. So this is basically like if we have 2 zones where there are like similar facilities, let's say a mall, so where we will go will depend on the kind of attractiveness and the accessibility. So let's say if area in one of the malls is better, so we may prefer to go there. So attractiveness depends. But if both the areas are have similar level of attractiveness, in that case accessibility will matter because wherever there is a frequent bus service or roads are better, less congestion, so we may prefer that route. So the distribution, which zone we will travel to, will depend on both these aspects. So C is also correct. And yeah, we discussed this. So depending upon the type of activity, we'll try to provide the input to the trip generation to find the number of trips. So D is also correct. So I think all the 4 options are correct here. So option A, B, C, and D, all 4 are correct. So question 17, which of the following statements are correct? Impedance estimates are required only in trip distribution analysis. While applying traffic assignment, car trips and public transport trips are assigned separately. Postcard cannot be used for transport survey, and beginning point and ending point doesn't hold true for productions and attractions. So can I have some response for this quickly? Then we'll discuss the answer. Okay. Fine. One more response. I'll give one more minute. You can respond that time. Then we'll discuss things. Okay. Okay. So what are the responses we have here? A and B, B, A, B, T. Okay. Any other response? Okay. Fine. So I think everyone has responded. We'll discuss the answer now. I think no one responded it correctly. No issues. We'll see the answer. So impedance estimates are required only in trip distribution analysis and not in other stages. So this is not correct. We need impedance estimate in mode choice also, because what is the impedance of a certain zone will depend, like decide the choice of mode also in some cases. Mode choice also is influenced by the impedance estimates. So A is incorrect because it is not true. While applying traffic assignment, car trips and public transport trips are assigned separately. So yeah, this is correct. We put both of them in separate bins. Postcard cannot be used for transport service. So this is also not correct because they can be used, but it is preferred that they are not used because people may not be very responsive of replying back using a postcard. So what is done is a postcard is sent to their home and they are expected to reply to that using the survey. So there is like the issue of data privacy, and response rate is also very low. So nowadays it has kind of become obsolete. But earlier, some decades back, this was a very popular technique which was used. So they used to put postcards in the newspaper sometimes, and people used to respond to this, and they were supposed to transport it back. And the beginning point and the ending point of the trip doesn't hold true for productions and attractions. So yeah, this is correct. This is because, as we saw, if we have a home-based trip, so it doesn't matter where the trip is originating, the production will always be at home. So here what we are saying is beginning point will be production and ending point will be attraction. So it won't hold true for home-based trips because in that case, whichever direction the trip is happening, home will be the production. So D is also correct. So B and D are correct in this case. So while applying traffic assignment, we will assign car trips and public transport trips separately, and beginning ending point will not hold true for productions and attractions. So option B and option D are correct. So is this clear? Can I have some response? Okay. Anyone else? Is this clear? Can I have some response? Is this clear? Okay, fine. Okay, we'll go ahead with the next question. Question 18, that is. So this is a poll. So agent destination data provides trip information on where the trip comes from, where they go, by what mode, and by what for what purpose. So you can respond it in the chat. I'll also drop a poll. Okay. We'll give maybe 2 minutes for this, then we'll discuss the answer. Fine. So I think everyone has responded. Just check the polls once. Okay. So I will end the poll. Okay. Fine. We'll discuss the answers. No issues. I think everyone has pointed some correct options, but in this case, all the options are correct. So when we talk about OD data, so when we are doing a survey, we want to find out where the trips come from. So what is the origin, where they go. So that will be the destination. Mode also will try to ask the respondent what is the mode choice, and finally we'll ask him about what route he generally takes to travel from this origin to this destination particular subset. So OD data will have trip information for all these stages. Then only we can model all the four trip generation, distribution, mode choice, and route choice. So we'll need all this together. So generation kind of we'll have before itself, but for distribution, mode choice, route choice, all these three, we'll need all the four data. So OD data should have all these four. So you can also refer to the slides for this. So answer is A, B, C, D. So I won't go into the details because it will take some time. So since we also discussed this, what are the different stages and what do they mean? So I think this was the last question for today's session. If you have any doubts, you can ask now. So I hope it was clear. Okay, fine. Anyone else has any doubts, you can ask, type in the chat box. So we'll do this every week, Saturday 4 to 6. We'll discuss the overview, some questions from the practice assignment. I'll try to keep around 18 to 20 questions because we can easily cover them in the given time frame and with proper response from everyone. Mm, I guess if it is fine with the participants, I am okay with it. Should not be an issue. I think more preferable will be to, if someone wants to get in contact with each other, you can maybe drop the email ID and then you can get in touch rather than using the phone number directly. Yeah, sure, please ask.
Yeah, in week two lecture material on
Yeah,
slide number 24,
okay.
you have shown a flowchart there, isn't it, regarding the captive mode split. Does it mean here that the car is a captive mode here?
Yeah, okay. Please let me check the slide once. So we are talking about slide number 24.
24, yes.
Yeah, just a second. So yeah, what is your question? Please repeat.
From land use allocation, you have found the trip generation, trip ends, and after that, you are talking about the captive mode split. So after that, the flow, then on the left side, you show zonal car trip ends.
Yeah.
So this captive mode, does it mean that car is a captive mode here?
No, no, no. Car is not a captive mode. Captive mode means like if the person does
They
not
don't
have
have any choice. Captive mode, and as I understand, is they don't have a choice except for one particular mode.
yeah, yeah. So
So does it mean that car is the captive mode on the left side, and the zonal transients are shown on the choice? The difference between choice riders and captive riders is not clear here.
okay, okay, okay. So generally, for captive riders, we mean like they will generally prefer a transit because they won't have a private choice. But choice riders will be where they can either use transit or their private vehicle. So that is how it is used. For this slide, I'm not clear like what sir has discussed. So I will have to see the lecture.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, if you can get back to us on this, it would be great, sir.
Yeah, yeah, fine.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Else, please feel free to leave. I will be here for another 5 minutes. If someone has any doubts, you can ask. So yeah, you can use the discussion forum for asking any doubts. We will respond there. Any other doubts? You can ask. Yeah, so next week we'll discuss the content for third week, week 3. Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you. So thank you for attending the session. We'll meet again next week.